My name is Alan Hoare. You're all very welcome. I'm one of the founding directors of the Alliance over 25 years ago in Bolton Street. And we're still here today, still very active in the event, training and research space in construction. This is our third, I think, is it 8?
Yes.
Topics in our digital skills series. We spent a lot of time last year speaking with our members and the wider network as to what it is that excites them, gets them up in the morning, and the common denominator from those discussions was skills, or the fact of the lack of talent and skills available in the country. And obviously we can't manufacture people, so digitalization brings opportunities to work smarter and to re-engineer the industry. So just having a quick look at our series. Sorry, no. Yes, sorry. Starting at 12 o'clock, we have already looked at building information modeling. Obviously, it was an obvious topic for us in January because to kick off the series because of the announcement of the BIM mandate by the state. We looked at prefabrication and offsite on event 2, and here we are speaking about green retrofitting and low carbon. So obviously any innovation in construction, any digitalization in construction needs to support sustainability in our industry. So we've got a great lineup of speakers this morning. We're back again here on the 14th of May, where we're looking at, I suppose, effective construction project management, which is going to focus on improving, project outcomes and ensuring projects are delivered on time, to the quality, and hopefully to the budget. But budget is not always necessarily the priority. Quality is obviously the priority, as is the speed of construction. We then move on to look at aspects like immersive technologies, automation, real-time analytics, and finishing with operation and maintenance optimization. So our speakers, we've got fantastic lineup of expert speakers this morning, and we're joined by Sinéad Hughes from the Irish Green Building Council. We all know Irish Green Building Council are doing huge work in the green space and have been doing so for many years. And of course, they're part of a global Green Building Council. So it's great to have Sinéad here today, who will be talking about some of the projects. Also joined by Keith from Enterprise Ireland. I know you're recently joined Enterprise Ireland, but you'll be speaking, presumably, about how companies can maybe leverage some support through the green initiatives. We couldn't have an event like this without the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. So David, you're very welcome. And we're looking forward to hearing about the various one-stop shop solutions that you provide. My colleague, I don't know if Joseph is with us yet, former colleague Joseph Little, who's been around this space for many years, will be speaking about life cycle and about the need to reduce and measure carbon. And also Harry, I'm not sure if Harry's with us yet. Harry, you're very welcome. I got through Harry sort of indirectly through Hibernia Reith, but a very important unit within RKD, focusing on how we can retrofit commercial buildings. Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity there for the state to take buildings that are perhaps not fully occupied into the residential space, and there's an urgency about that. So what I might do now is ask Sinéad to join us. So we have our program here, so everyone has approximately got 15 to 20 minutes. There may be 1 or 2 questions after each speaker, but we will have a Q&A at the end. So Sinéad, you're very welcome. If you'd like to join us. I think Mela has all the slides ready there. Thank you.
Thanks.
No problem.
Oh, it's all set up. Yeah. How do you do? Delighted to be here. As Alan said, my name is Sinéad Hughes. I'm the Programme Manager with the Irish Green Building Council, primarily looking at the issue of skills, essentially. We've just done a skills roadmap. I'll just update you on that. I'm an architect by profession. I'm currently the Vice President of the Institute of Architects. I'm also the Irish representative on the Women in Architecture Task Force at the Architects Council of Europe. I need an acronym for that, but delighted to be here to talk about skills. So first of all, why are we talking about carbon? We all know that we have our 2050 targets of zero carbon emissions, but more immediately is our 2030 target in terms of halving our carbon emissions. We are at, it's quite an ambitious target, and I would suggest we're miles off our target, and we really need to be doing more collectively. So the Irish Green Building Council were involved with research projects with UCD, and the findings of that report were that carbon emissions from the built environment are responsible for 37% of the carbon emissions, obviously a combination of operational and embodied carbon, which is the same output as agriculture. So just to put that in context. What to do about that is, I suppose, at a high level, 3 strategies are prioritising what, in fact, are our environmental and social needs regarding projects up to 2030 and beyond. Optimising use of our existing building stock. Obviously, it's a retrofit conversation today, so that's a critical one. And essentially for any new build and indeed the retrofit elements themselves to reduce any outputs by 50%. So within the Irish Green Building Council, just to give you an overview of who we are, we're a not-for-profit organisation. We are a membership. Our members, we have over 400 members at the moment, primarily design team consultants, architects, engineers, developers, contractors, procurement bodies and clients, material suppliers. So really the broad range of stakeholders, that word, in the built environment. We make policy submissions, we do research, we host the Home Performance Index for residential, which is an energy rating system for projects for full life cycle. We garner information, share information through workshops, webinars, conferences. You can see some of the statistics there, and we host the Environmental Product Declaration Ireland EPDs for materials, which we would obviously be encouraging procurers to include in their tenders products that have EPDs. Not all EPDs are great, but at least it's all about disclosure and advising of what the component of your materials are. Just to flag some figures there on our Carbon Designer tool, and I'll come back to that in a moment. We're also industry partners, delighted to have our Enterprise Ireland colleagues here today. We're the industry partner with the National Research Centre, which TU Dublin are involved in as well. All the universities there in terms of research. There's a phenomenal amount of work going on there, and happy to update anyone in detail, but didn't want to dominate the conversation today on that. But that's I urge you strongly to follow and track what's happening in Construct Innovate. At the Irish Green Building Council, as Alan said, we're a network with World Green Building Council, and there's a network of 70 other green building councils around the world. So with some of our Green Building Council partners, we've prepared a zero carbon roadmap for Ireland. This is the summary image, but there's a more detailed document behind this. And it's really whatever element you are within the industry, that this would be your journey, our collective journey, with everyone taking responsibility for their actions. And Upskill, as you can see, 2023 Upskill heavily featuring there, specifically in terms of carbon, to reach net zero. And what is whole life carbon? Just a kind of an overview graphic there in terms of embodied carbon and operational carbon throughout the life cycle of a project. Most critically, end of life, and I suppose we need more focus on circularity. We're also involved in a circularity roadmap, which will be produced. We're working on that in conjunction with EPA. So just to give an overview of the life cycle of a project, and obviously digitization and digitalization are critical elements in all of these elements. Just to pitch a project, and it's a bit of a call out for anyone in the room or outside of the room. We're working on an Indicate project with CAI for a national methodology for carbon calculation. So we're working in conjunction with some of the design team and clients, as you can see there. We're testing projects so that we would have a national common database for carbon metrics for all materials, so that everyone would be working off the same agreed methodology. So we're testing that at the moment. We're actively looking for more projects. So it really is a parallel document to a bill of quantities. So if you have your quantities in your project per material, you then equate it to the carbon calculation associated with that. So it's a parallel process. So same way you would have your financial budget, you would have your carbon budget. So we're really looking for more projects. So please come talk to me if you want to talk about that further. And so skills, second part of my presentation is really on skills. So we've just completed a project called Buzzy 2030, which is Build Upskills Ireland. We have, you can look it up, maybe not whilst we're speaking, afterwards have a look at, we've 73 recommendations for everyone across industry. Our project partners, we were led by, well, we worked as a team, I should say, but the project leaders officially are Technical University of Shannon, Lee Shoffley, ETB were involved. They obviously host one of the NZEB Centres of Excellence and the MMC Demonstration Park in Mount Lucas. I suggest you all go visit if you can. And the CIF, obviously. So we were one of 13 projects in Europe where all the other countries identified there were doing a national upskilling roadmap at the same time. So we were all reporting back into the European Commission as to what's happening in all countries. So clearly there's skills and labour shortage for all of the other countries, and indeed in many of the other sectors. So this is why I'm really thrilled to be here today. You know, the digital solutions here, this is where the solutions lie in digitalization. So in order to kind of come up with our recommendations, we had extensive stakeholder engagement across all sectors in terms of policymakers, actually the actual clients and design teams, material suppliers and finance, really to get that broad overview of how we're going to address these challenges collectively. We did a series of workshops, interviews, surveys, etc. So what are the actual gaps? This is a very short excerpt of a very, very long list. I suppose existing roles as we see them, and then where the gaps are. And we talk about whole life carbon assessment, but who actually does that? What is that? What is that skill? What is the competency? Who does that? Who audits it and monitors? Water efficiency, ironically, it's a huge concern despite the rain today. Train the trainers. So again, there are huge solutions here from a digital perspective that can assist with what is essentially a massive skill gap and labour shortages. So our statistics, we did an analysis report 6 months ago. So the findings were, we looked at all of the courses that exist, all of the existing workforce, our climate action targets, our housing targets, national development plans. So looked at what we need to deliver in terms of our requirements. And if we continue with a business as usual, the critical phrase up there is business as usual, we will need an additional 120,000 additional workers in the industry. That's professional and contractor cohort. We will obviously need to upskill those already in the profession and the student cohort in courses currently to educate them even further regarding circular economy or life cycle analysis or carbon calculations, etc. So clearly this is just such a massive challenge. And the issue here is we cannot continue to work as we are working. We need more efficiency. We cannot continue in our business as usual model. So what are our solutions? It's a cliche, but connect the silos. We did extensive research, as I advised, and there are so many courses. There's a huge amount of money being given to training. For example, we have a national retrofit plan, and yet we have retrofit courses that people don't even know about, or they're not taking up. There's, some of them are even being cancelled. There's duplication at public sector and private sector providing the same courses, but maybe not the same level of detail. There's massive missed opportunities and duplication as a result that we've observed in our research. ZEB fundamentals, really the same way we're proposing that everyone in industry would have a basic, almost like sustainability pass. So you just get the basic awareness. So someone on site with a drill or hammer, doesn't puncture an air tightness membrane, has a sense of what their responsibility is, even if it isn't their specific task, or just have an awareness that if you are installing a heat pump or external insulation, that it might not be your role, but just checking, has someone considered air quality here, and is the ventilation suitable? So there's a broad awareness of what the core issues are. So we would be proposing, as part of our recommendation, a basic ZEB fundamentals, or whatever title you want to use, but some sort of level of basic credential or badge or stamp across the industry. Construction is exciting. Question mark. The question mark is the critical one there. Really, the digital solutions here are. We need more diversity in this industry. We need to look at people who are retiring maybe earlier than they want to. We need to look at the younger generation coming up. We had a great example of a crane driver who was buddied with a young graduate with an iPad, and the crane driver was due to retire, and then suddenly decided, well, I'm not retiring. And that buddy scenario actually made them stronger as a team. Or we've seen director level in contracting companies being buddied with the graduate coming in, and that co-benefit learning. So there's a massive, I know Department of Further Education have funded with the CIF and others, careers in construction, promoting it to a younger generation, but we also need to be promoting it to those already in the industry. There's massive opportunities in virtual reality solutions, obviously the BIM area. It is exciting, but I think people don't realise. They're still thinking of muddy boots. Parents have a huge impact on career choices and CAO applications and the perception of apprenticeship. There's a massive awareness conversation needs to be taken to promote the industry. And climate literacy, this is really a broader proposal for public awareness in terms of, if you are getting someone in to retrofit your home, to know what questions to ask. And just have that sense, as opposed to, not that sense, but just that awareness of the issues that are associated with that. And indeed, just telling people, oh, the world is on fire, that's not going to work. We need to bring people along on this journey so that collectively we're all trying to address this together. That's the key word, together. So just a flavour of some of the recommendations we have. We've broken it into 3 categories: public, education and industry. So we've 12 core areas at the moment. So skills ecosystem, green careers, quality assurance. Cannot stress enough the issue, for example, with retrofitting. Worst thing that can happen is that we end up retrofitting the retrofits. We really need to know that what we're doing, and we've heard quite horrendous examples. Even a year-old project needed to be retrofit because the ventilation wasn't appropriate, and essentially the person doing it didn't really know what they were doing. Public sector leading by example. I know it's mandated, but it's to really see that actively happening and sharing data. We don't have enough data. We cannot improve what we're not measuring. So public sector is a prime example of it's public money, share the information. And collaboration, again, I stress that again. So just some ones there to pick out. Promoting diversity, obviously, will assist getting more people into the career. And I'm talking about all kinds of diversity. It's not just gender diversity, obviously. ZEB fundamentals, I've mentioned. With the public sector, it's sharing case studies. I do think it's almost promoting best, not even best in class, but appropriate or suitable. So we don't want to be the top of the class. We want just to be sharing data on a typical building. Maybe it's not a protected structure. It's just a 1960s industrial building or something like that. If that's being retrofitted from a commercial point of view, to just share the data around that. And strengthening networks. Again, we found, as I said earlier, there's a lot of overlap. Similar institutions, professional bodies, or in contracting companies or contractor advisors, all promoting the same courses, and maybe they're not all being filled, but there's an overlap and a duplication at a large extent. From an education point of view, obviously connecting the further education and higher education ecosystem so people could see those pathways for progression, prioritizing green education. So really focusing on climate targets. So just picking out a few there, that when we're looking at careers, we're looking at climate targets as opposed to just a role in isolation or a title. Oh, you could be an engineer. Well, no, hang on, let's just see what that actually looks like. Or if you're an apprentice, what your role is in terms of our delivery of our climate targets. So you just see that broader context related to your specific role. I'll just flag there that our timeline is to 2030, and obviously all of our actions here are in the immediate coming years, which is like crazily ambitious, but this is the point. We need to act now. And then finally on industry, again, connecting that ecosystem. I know there is already a network of professional bodies, or even us here today, sharing our experiences coming from different disciplines. Again, the green careers, it's not just schools, it's also those already in industry. And then the green solutions is really about leadership. Really, instead of having a sustainability champion in your company, that should be filtered. Maybe someone is kind of leading the charge on it, but it should be across the board in everything that is done. Obviously with ESG requirements and the EU directives that are here or coming our way in terms of implementation at Irish level. There's a massive amount of information to absorb. And I'll just finish on the design for performance. Really, I think we have a culture of design for compliance, and that you get to the day where you open the building. Really, we need to be looking at the operational side of things and designing for performance, not just, as I say, we've spoken about carbon budgets or financial budget, but to look at a carbon budget as well and think about the whole life cycle, and then the circular side of things. So in terms of designing for disassembly, so you end up having that reuse element. And just a couple of, well, you might call it a pitch, but I'm calling it sharing of information. In our School Building Council, we have a learning hub. We're a membership body. It's very, you know, they're very low rates for courses, I should say. We have a series of courses. I've just picked out a couple there that might be of interest to you. We're also involved in DASB, which is the Digital Academy for Sustainable Built Environment, and there's a conference coming up in May. I've just sent you you can access the link there. And then ourselves, we have our Build Green conference coming up now on the 3rd of May. And really, as I say, because we look at the built environment as a whole, we have material suppliers in addition to the clients who are procuring the projects, in addition to the design teams who are implementing those briefs. So happy to answer any questions after on the panel, or I'll be here, I'll hang around. If there's more coffee, I'll be staying. So thank you very much.